So thanks to everyone for coming along today. We'll be talking about the recipe for a great bookkeeping website. So this workshop is presented by BizInc and also co-hosted by the Revolutionary Firm. So I've got Mel Powell on the line. Thanks so much for joining me today, Mel.
Great to be here, Anthea, and great to see so many of you that have popped along this morning to find out how you can get a great bookkeeping website, because it is really important and it's one of the things that your customers are going to see. So we're a bit passionate about it, aren't we, Anthea?
We are, yeah. It's so great to see so many of you here from all different parts of the world. So we might just jump on into it. So
Cool.
first I thought I'd start with a little bit of housekeeping. We just asked you to close down other applications and programs you have going just so you can get the best webinar experience, the best audio and visual quality. Also, we'll be running a Q&A session at the end. Any questions you have about any part of the webinar or about bookkeeping websites, just put them into the little chat section of the GoToWebinar control panel, usually on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll get to them at the end. So any questions you have throughout the webinar, put them in that chat box. Also, I've put these PDF of these slides in the handout section so you can download them and go back and look over them.
You're very organised, Anthea. Love it.
Great. So a little bit about me, first of all. I'm one of the marketing specialists at BizInc, and I've worked exclusively with accountants and bookkeepers with firms all over the world, the US, Australia, which is where I'm from, hence the accent to some of you probably. Yeah, firms all over the world, even Dubai is where we've reached recently with our website. So I've really enjoyed working at BizInc and helping accountants and bookkeepers market themselves online. And what we'll be talking about today is just websites, and that's just one part of what we do at BizInc. We help with all types of online marketing. So now over to you, Mel. I'm sure most people do know you, but let them know what you've been doing with the Revolutionary Firm.
Thanks so much, Anthea. Well, that's me playing my bass guitar, and a lot of you would know me from Xero. I actually work with Xero as their head of bookkeeping as well. So, as well as doing, the Revolutionary Firm and Bookkeeper Revolution. So, I love championing bookkeepers everywhere. But this shot was of me at XeroCon. It was a very cool moment in my life. I got to play with my managing director at the time, Chris Ridd. That was definitely one of those moments in times that I will always remember. So a revolutionary firm is all about one that is looking to transform small business. That's why we got out of bed. That's why we do what we do. And this is why it's really important to actually have all of your marketing material in place, like Anthea's mentioned, the websites, all of that sort of stuff, so that small businesses can actually get to see you, the problems you solve, and also the value that you can provide to them. So over to you, Anthea.
It's so awesome to see your passion, Mel, through all you've been doing with the Revolution. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
My pleasure.
Cool. So I'll just give a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we'll talk about the absolute essentials. That's what's absolutely necessary for a great bookkeeping website. We're calling this the recipe, so these are the key ingredients there. Then we'll be talking about design, because often a lot of people get pretty caught up with design, so I'll discuss why it's probably not as important as you think. Then we'll be talking about simplicity, because it really goes a long way in marketing, especially given the amount of messages we receive every day and the amount of noise that's out there. Simplicity is really important. Then we'll cover the winning content structure. So this is what we've found at BizInc from working with hundreds of accountants and bookkeepers on their websites. We'll let you know what we see as the winning content structure, and again, it's fairly simple, so you should be able to implement it for yourself. Then we'll talk about how to turn visitors into clients, which is obviously often a problem for many businesses. You might get a ton of website traffic to your site, but is that converting into actual clients? We'll show you some great tools to do that, and then we'll be talking about apps and add-ons. So these are awesome little extras that help take your website to the next level. And then, as I said, at the very end, we'll talk through any questions you have. So put them into the chat box at the side and we'll get to them at the end. So hopefully this workshop won't be too hard or technical for you. We know most of you could probably do it. Most of you probably know the winning content structure already, but we know that a lot of you are probably just busy. So we're just, BizInc do provide these websites, and we have the tools that we're going to talk about today that are as standard in our website. So we have websites specifically for bookkeepers, so we can help you out there if you need. So now we'll get right into it. First of all, I thought I'd start with why you need a website. Can everybody hear me okay? I've just got a message that some people aren't. So just let me know in the chat if you can hear me, please. But I'll keep going till then. It looks like I'm awesome. Yep. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. That's great. Thank you for that. Sorry for the little interruption there. Why do you need a website? Hopefully you do know that you need a website, but we actually still do here, even in 2017. Oh, I don't think I really need a website because I get all my business from referrals anyway. So what we'd say to that is it really is an essential part of your marketing plan, of your marketing mix. And I'll give you 3 reasons why you do need a website just to cover off on this topic. And the first reason is actually relating to referrals. We say that your website seals the deal with referrals. So if you think about this typical situation, which is probably fairly typical, one of your clients is talking to one of their friends who's a business owner and they need a bookkeeper, and your name is recommended. What's the first thing that person is going to do? They're going to go straight to Google, they're going to check out your website, search for you, check out your website, they're going to do their due diligence. So yes, most of your business probably will come from referrals, correct? But your website does actually play an important role in sealing the deal there. And my second point about why you need a website is because not all of your business does have to come from referrals. Marketing and online marketing in particular is actually a great way to get more leads for you. And we'll give you some examples of how to do that later on. But search engines like Google, they're just one example of the power of the internet now to bring you more leads. So there's a stat here that Google processes 40,000 searches every second. So that's 3.5 billion searches per day. And obviously not all of those searches are going to be for bookkeepers, but a portion of those will be, and a portion of those will be in your local area as well. So without a website, you really don't exist as an option to those people searching, and you really need to have an online presence for those people as well. And my last reason for why you need a website is actually for existing clients. And some of the best firms that we've worked with, some of BizInc's clients, use their website as like a hub to work with their clients. So they might share documents, they might share content with them, and it becomes a really important part of their relationship and often a reason for retaining them as clients. So now we'll look at the winning content structure, what we found from working with hundreds of accountants and bookkeepers, and we'll start with the homepage first of all, because the purpose of a homepage is to engage a visitor and to get them to dig deeper and go further onto your website. And what you're trying to do with this page, and right throughout the website, this is going to be a theme of this webinar you'll see, is build trust and credibility. Because those things, trust and credibility, that's really why people would choose you over another bookkeeper, why they would choose your firm over another. And that's the key thing to build when marketing your firm, trust and credibility. I also want to say that although your homepage is going to get a fair amount of traffic, yes, going to get probably the most amount of traffic, and it is an important page, don't put too much emphasis on it because it might not get, you might be interested with how much traffic it does actually get, because on the BizInc site, only 29% of traffic goes to the homepage. So that means 71% is going to other pages. So the reason I make this point is We've seen firms put a huge amount of effort into what goes onto their homepage, but then not really think about other pages. So we just don't want you to be neglecting other pages of the site over this one, because you'll probably have about a third of your traffic going here, so it's definitely an important one, but just don't get too hung up on it is what I'd say there. To put things you can put on your homepage though, definitely have some images and content, logos, some content about yourself, but don't try and put too much there. Don't try and force too much content onto the homepage. One thing that you will want on your homepage though, and right throughout the site, is a call to action. So this is a little bit of a website jargon term, but it means something on your website that encourages a visitor to do something, to take an action. So there's probably some examples you might know would be like a buy now button, or download our free ebook, or complete a form, sign up for an event, something like that. Calls to action, getting turning someone from just being a visitor into someone that's engaged with you and getting in touch. And this is pretty important on your homepage, but it's important right throughout your website really, because basically people are lazy online, and they're not going to spend ages digging around on your site looking for contact details. So if you don't make it easy for them, you're probably going to lose them. And one thing to remember, we say at BizInc, is your competitors are only a click away. If somebody's researching bookkeepers, they're likely to have multiple tabs open. They could have your competitors open as well. So it's important to have multiple calls to action, and to make it easy for people to get in touch in the way that they prefer. So things we'd suggest as a bare minimum would be a phone number on every page, a book a meeting button that could go to an appointment booking app. You could have a live chat. We'll talk about those things later, but just basically my point here is to make it easy for interested people to get in touch with you in the way that they prefer. So I thought I'd give you an example. This is one of BizInc's clients, which has some great calls to action on the site. They've got a big contact us button. Then they've got their phone numbers up the top in the heading. They've also got a make an appointment button, which goes to an appointment booking app. And then they've got Let's Talk, a contact form there. So they've got this really does cover all the bases. They've got quite a few options there for interested people to get in touch with them. Next, we've got the About or the Team page. Sometimes this is 2 pages, sometimes it's combined into one. But I really want to emphasize this point here, because I would say the Team page is the second most important page of the website, because we did some research into our clients' web stats at BizInc, and we found that the team page was the second most viewed page on 90% of our clients' websites. Obviously the first being the home page, but the team page being very important secondly there. And what this tells us is that people want to see you. And I'll get your input here, Mel, in a second, but you know obviously that in any form of business, people buy from people. And they like the human element. So any way that you can humanize your website, the better. That's really great to try and bring in your to bring in your personality there. So I know, Mel, you say that bookkeepers are in the relationship business, so you might have some comments here as well.
Thanks, Anthea. I certainly do. Bookkeepers are definitely in the relationship business. Our clients want to be able to deal with us. They want to be able to know that we're going to be there to look after all of their little problems that often occur in their business day to day, and that the website is part of that. It's an extension of who we are. It's part of your overall brand. So I always like to think of a website is the central point of place that people are going to come back to. So even when you're actually talking on social media, or it could be Twitter or Facebook, you could be out at a networking event, you want people to always come back to one central point. and having that place as your website where they can actually find out more about you, how they can engage with you, is key. So the person that they see at the network meeting, or they've responded to from a Facebook Live Q&A, or you've seen you speak at an could even be a B&I session or small networking event, what they see there really should be reflected in your brand on your website. So for me, I'm pretty out there. I love to talk. I'm very excitable, very passionate. It's all about the revolution. So when people come back to our website, I want people to know that that's what I actually stand for. So the website's almost like your calling card or your dance card that you want to give to people when you meet them. So it's like a virtual business card. That's how I like to think of it. Anyway,
Yeah,
Anthea.
that's an awesome point there, Mel. Backing up how you are in real life and at events, and communicating that personality through your team page is such a good point. And really, we're trying to build trust and credibility, communicate our personality. I don't think there's a better page than a team page. So we definitely recommend including on this page, obviously, information about you and your firm, but keep it short and keep it simple. Again, we're going to come back to that theme as well, because you're really only going to sell to people when you talk to them in person, and choosing a new bookkeeper takes time and trust, obviously, and that often takes that conversation in person or a phone call. So you should make the about section obviously about you. You need some content there, but try and actually make it back about them, and because the reason is people are interested in what's in it for them, basically. So they're not really bothered about the long history of your firm so much, or mission or vision statements. They just want to know, if they work with you, how can you help them? What's going to be in it for them? And another thing on this, sorry, Mel, did you have something to add?
Yeah, just one more thing there. Think about
Yeah.
your website as when people visit there, we want them to do something. And Anthea's touched that a little bit on a call to action, and we'll probably come back to that a little bit later. But think about it. When they come to your website, they've come there, what do you want them to do? You don't want them to leave again. You want them to follow through with something. That could be either popping their email details in to sign up for a newsletter. It could be to register for a webinar. It could be to download a piece on the top 20 tips to solve your cash flow problems. Whatever it is, we want them to do something when we come there. So it is important that at that point with the website, this is just another opportunity for you to establish and then strengthen that relationship as well.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, that was my point with the call to action as well, which we will touch on again a bit later. You want them to complete an action, obviously. We'll get to this point again later, but you definitely want to have multiple ways there for them to get in touch with you. So back to the about page for a little bit. I just wanted to say you should probably avoid marketing language. And so I'm talking about hyperbole and superlatives, things like we are the leading firm and we are renowned and the best and those kind of things. It just seems like marketing language, and it usually switches people off. So the best way to do that kind of stuff is through case studies and testimonials, which we'll talk about soon. So I thought I'd also give you an example of one of a really cool team page, in my opinion. This is one of BizInc's clients. So they've gone a little bit extra. We would recommend obviously getting some photos taken, some nice photos, no like mug shots in the dark or anything like that. But these guys got little caricatures created and took it to the next level, really. And they get some great feedback on this page, and again, one of the most viewed pages on their site. So definitely get some photos taken. You're going to want to put some effort into this page because it's going to get a fair amount of traffic probably. And something like this can work really well. So that's an awesome example, I think. Now we'll talk about some case studies and testimonials. So these, I'll get your input here again, Mel, as well, but these, I would say, is one of the best ways to sell your services. Again, it helps build that trust and credibility, and it's a great way to show real outcomes you've gotten for real businesses, especially case studies. They go a bit more in depth there, but having this good feedback from clients can be a strong way to convince other people to work with you. and again, it's marketing 101 is selling the benefits, not the features. So do you have anything to add there, Mel?
I think the case study is really about giving people a reason to believe that you do what you say you do. It's as simply as that. So when people come to your website, they might have a nice homepage or talking about what you do, and you may have even met these people or spoken to them somewhere. But having another person that's actually sharing how your solutions have helped them solve problems is the best reason to believe. And if you just pop yourself into the customer's situation for a moment and look at it from their point of view, I know that when I go to websites and there's testimonials that are delivered, and it's you're seeing a photo of the person and there's a written testimonial or even a video of that person talking about the results they've got, it actually fills me with a level of confidence as well. And so I like that term, reason to believe. That's how I think about this when we go to that case study and testimonial page.
Yeah, definitely. That's so true. And it's, again, demonstrating value there and how you can help these people, and it doesn't sound quite like you're just bragging about yourself. It's coming from somebody else who's had these real results for them, so it's much more powerful as well. So I would definitely include these. You can include them pretty much anywhere on your site, but I would recommend maybe the home page, but definitely include them, I would recommend. So
Cool.
I'll go on to services now. The services page, we would say keep it fairly brief, short and simple again. Often I see websites with long, like a whole load of text, long lists of services on the page, and again, it switches people off. So we think services should be just one page. Sorry, Mel, did you have something?
Yeah, it can get confusing. I know when I go to websites and there's a whole lot of stuff in front of me, I think, well, how do I know what's going to be right for me? So I agree, simple is best.
Yeah, and that's one thing this whole workshop you'll see, and we've found the greatest bookkeeping websites in our opinion are just keep it short and simple, and don't let a whole lot of content get in the way of getting people to get in touch with you. So try and keep it simple, no like complex pages full of technical descriptions of what you do. You could maybe have a couple of pages depending on the types of clients you have, whether it be individual or businesses, but try and just stick to one, or just keep it simple again. And the reason for that is most business owners, your prospects, they don't really actually know what they need, and so they might know they need a bookkeeper, but the things that you can really help them with and the things that they're going to find really valuable, you probably only really find them out when you actually have that meeting and you do that little discovery bit at the beginning and you find out what their problems are and how you can help them. And then you can help sell based on those points, based on their pain points. So the thing is here, it's not, your site isn't an e-commerce site. It's not, they're not going to come and make impulse purchases here. So they're going to hire you based on that trust again that we're trying to build, and not on a long list of services. So again, the main purpose is to get that conversation started. So avoid using long technical description, lots of text. Avoid using jargon. That's always a mistake in marketing as well. So again, use those case studies and testimonials to show those outcomes. It would be much better than a long list of services there. So far we've said to keep the content pretty simple, but one place you could add a bit more depth is through your blog. So content that people usually want to read about and works best is content that speaks to their pain points. So we call that expert content at BizInc, and again, it's building trust and credibility. If someone comes to your site and sees that you're writing about their pain points, things that they're struggling with, then that's likely to resonate with them and build trust again, and that'll work really well. You'll probably find that very beneficial. So we say that, well, the business advisory content probably works best. Compliance and tax content I'd probably avoid there, because to be honest, they're not really interested in that stuff, and that's what they're hiring you for. And they just want to know that you understand that, you can deal with that, that can be sorted. They want to read about things that, like their pain points, issues they're struggling with in their business, and how you can help them. If you do want to write a blog post, though, think about the questions that you get asked all the time. Think about by your clients. Think about what they're asking you and what keeps them awake at night. What are their pain points? Because if that's bothering your clients, then it's likely to also be bothering other business owners. And if you're writing about that and addressing that on your website, then that can attract them to you as well. So a blog, this type of content, is a really good way to differentiate yourself, show your personality. Again, this is another place you could do that, and obviously it's a great way to keep your site updated and refreshed. So if you don't want to write that stuff yourself, you can get a freelancer, or you can get specialist companies to do that, and BizInc actually have a business blogging service as well, and you can get them created for probably a lot less than you think, and you can have them out on your website. You guys, Mel, sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say content is important, and it's really interesting. I'll use the Revolutionary Firm as an example here. So Steve, which is my business partner and the co-founder of the Revolution, and I are both very passionate about the concept of how bookkeepers need to be looking at utilising value pricing, how they can have the power of niching, or niching, as we say in the States. And so we often write a lot of content around the importance of value pricing, how it can actually increase your turnover, your profit. And so Steve and I have been very specific about releasing continual blogs via our website, but also into other channels, communities, social media, and obviously the call to action, a lot of those is to come back to our website. So the content's very powerful, especially when you've actually providing value. And I've got quite a lot of emails and messages from people that have read our blogs and said, hey, thank you so much, I've actually looked at that concept, gone back and applied it to my business, and I've achieved a result from it. And I mean, that's the most amazing compliment that you can get when someone's getting that level of value as well from that content. So imagine how it would be for bookkeepers if you're writing content that's going to add value that people can actually take away and implement into their small businesses. It's demonstrating your expertise immediately, and it's also showing the value that you can provide for that small business, and it will make them think about you when the problems that come up in their business around bookkeeping, or it could be cloud integration, or it could be a whole lot of different things, but they will remember that experience that they've had with you. So that's just my thoughts on the content. I think this is an incredibly powerful tool, and if you're not a writer and you're not used to doing this, then don't panic, because I know BizInc have facilities that can help you do this to get started. So back over to you, but this is probably one of my favorite topics. Love this one.
Yeah, that's awesome, and so many great points there, Mel. Especially there's another point in there about if you're posting out these blogs that are addressing people's pain points, and you can post them out on social media, and then that gets people coming back to your site. And also with social media is a great way, because sites obviously will be linking back to your website, so that can hopefully improve your search engine ranking, but that's a whole nother topic in itself. There's just so many benefits of blogging there, and especially addressing people's pain points. You're so right. People are going to see that, when they're experiencing these problems, oh, that's right, this bookkeeper said they could help me there and whatever, or exactly, you're going to be top of mind there. So that's such a good point there, Mel. Another thing I wanted to talk about here with the content side of thing was what we call partner content. So that's another thing you could include on your site, and we do have this as an option on BizInc websites as well. So for example, you might be a Xero advisor, or you might be partnered with another software company, one of your accounting software partners. You could have a page on your site with information about their products and how you can help. Maybe you offer training. It's a great way, especially if they're familiar with that product, to back up that trust and credibility again.
Nice.
So now the contact page, which we view as an absolute essential, but I have seen some sites not include it. So please get a contact us page on your site. But you don't want this to be the only way for people to contact you. Back to that example I gave before of Sea Change with the calls to action, they had in their header 3 different ways people could get in touch with them. So you want to give people lots of ways for people to get in touch. Obviously, I would say email and phone number, absolute basics. Have them as standard essentials on every page. You could also have a contact form because that's much easier to use from a mobile device, which I will talk about mobile in a little bit, but it's much easier to send a message using a contact form from a mobile. So have that as an option as well. You could also have a live chat option or an appointment booking app, but I'll get back to them later as well. And another thing we would recommend for this page is a Google Map as an essential. Obviously, it helps people find you and your business, but if you embed a Google Map onto your site and that links to your Google business listing if you use your business name, then that can help improve your search engine ranking as well. And that's fairly straightforward to do. You should be able to do it, but if not, your web development team would definitely be able to help you out with that one. So that's another essential, I would say, on the contact page.
Now, for those of you that don't have a web development team, don't panic. We can certainly give you some ideas on how we can get you some help with that, and we'll do that at the end of the webinar.
Definitely. It's fairly simple, but we do have the team to help you if you need help there. So no worries with that one.
Anthea, I know that I can tell you right now, I don't know anything about web development. So I just know what I want to say on the page. So I leave the experts to do that. So I know that I went into business initially to help small businesses. I didn't go into business to be a web dev person. So WordPress just confuses me. So I like it. So
yeah, that's true. You do what you do best and let the people that do websites do that. That's probably a good idea.
Absolutely.
So that's the winning content structure pretty much. Hopefully you're not thinking that's too technical or too hard. Hopefully a lot of you probably have that on your website. That's great. Again, we found that like the simplest websites work the best. So have that home page, an about page, a team page definitely, services, obviously a contact page that we've just gone over, and maybe put some depth in there with a blog or expert content or that partner content. So there are some other things you can include on your website. This is where I think the real magic happens, and they help turn it from a website that's just like anyone else's into a website that's going to bring in some leads for you. So there's an alarming fact here that most visitors to a website, to a bookkeeping website, will never get in touch. So that's probably the experience for most of you. Probably most of you know that it's just the nature of the profession there. Most visitors won't get in touch with you, won't come back. So the reason for that is people procrastinate, people take a long time to make a decision, and that's quite understandable because switching bookkeepers is not, again, an impulse buy. It's not a quick decision, needs that trust there. So how are you going to turn website traffic into leads and into clients if people aren't getting in touch with you? Well, the answer here is lead magnets. So I just want to talk about that because I think it's really a powerful way to get those leads coming in and use your website as something other than an online brochure. So lead magnets, they're an exchange of something valuable. So you give away something valuable on your website in return for something else valuable. So what we'd suggest here is you give away some content in relation probably to clients' pain points in return for a visitor's email address. And that's really valuable because if you have their email address, then you have permission to keep talking to them, to keep in touch with them. And that means that when they are ready to engage a bookkeeper, you'll be top of mind. This is really important because it turns your website again from just being a brochure, probably just like everyone else's, having that standard content structure there, but it can help bring in leads and turn it from just being that online brochure again. So I wanted to give you go,
Oh,
Mel.
sorry. I was just sorry. I always just jump in.
That's
I think
fine.
I think one of the best lead magnets that I've used in my own business and I've seen other people use is definitely around cash flow. So
Mm,
nearly all small businesses that I've ever worked with usually have cash flow problems of some kind. So it could be, hey, we're going to put together, the top 25 things that you can do to help improve your cash flow. So all small business owners are going to find that valuable. It's a great, you can just have it could be on one PDF, a simple page, and immediately you're going to find that the small business owner is going to maybe at least get 2 or 3 points that they can take from that lead magnet and go, I can do this and I can make a difference. So it is a very, very good way to demonstrate your expertise and your value as well.
yeah, definitely. And cash flow is a great one. You're exactly right, obviously, that it's one that a lot of businesses struggle with, and it's going to appeal to a range of businesses. And if you can you let prospects know that you can help them with that, and you give them something valuable, and you have permission then to keep in touch with them, that's great. And you'll it turns someone from just visiting your site into someone that's getting in touch. That's the real message there. So I wanted to give you an example of one. Let me just get it moving on. So this is from the homepage of one of our clients. So we created this for one of our clients. It's a business plan course, and then it has a free business plan template included. So people just come to their website, put in their email address, submit, and then they get a 7-part course and that template. So we put that in there because we know it's really popular with small business owners. They want a plan, they want a template, and most of them turn to Google for that. So there's a really good value exchange going on there. Bookkeeper gets an email address, and business owner, they get the valuable content that they were searching for. So it's going back to building that trust and credibility again as well. Another great way to do that. So we'd really recommend getting a lead magnet onto your site if you can. A piece of content that's going to resonate with your audience, offered in return for an email address. And once you have the email address, you're definitely going to want to keep talking to them. So the marketing word for that is nurturing the lead. So you nurture them, keep in touch with them until they're sales ready. And the thing with bookkeeping is, as I'm sure you all know, that it's a bit of a waiting game. It could be 3 months before they're ready to purchase or engage a bookkeeper. It could be 6 months, could be 2 years. So you want to keep in touch with them over that time, and that's why having that email address is so valuable. So send them some content once you have that. Once you have their email address. Obviously, don't be too pushy, don't be spamming, don't be too hard on selling. Just keep in touch with them and try and build that credibility again. Stay top of mind when they are ready.
I think I'll just add one more thing in there before we move on. We talk about
Yep.
lead nurturing. So it's really important that when you get people coming to your website, that there's a way for them to actually engage with you so that you can get details, so that you can add them to your mailing list. The email list is gold to you as a bookkeeping business owner. In marketing terms, when we get an email details on a list, it means we actually own that traffic, or we control the traffic. And that means that then we actually have their permission to talk to them and share with them information about how we can help them, what types of things we can offer. So when they're out in the wild, and they might be on social media, all of that traffic is floating around in the air. But when we drive it back to a single point, which is our website, we get their details on their email list, boom, now we've actually got that internet traffic coming into a channel that we can actually nurture. So that's how I sort of think about it there.
Yeah, that's so valuable having that email address. You're exactly right. Controlling that kind of communication there and keeping in touch with them, keeping top of mind. So obviously, not spamming or anything like that, not being too pushy, but just keeping in touch, and hopefully you'll find that really, really valuable there. So I'll just move on to design quickly. I'll only talk about this briefly because it is obviously a huge topic, but my point here is it's probably less important than you think. And obviously, I don't mean you should have a shabby or a poor looking website, not at all. It obviously needs to look great, but I we just see firms spend a lot of time and a lot of money on design, but not enough on a good structure, on content, or on a lead magnet, as we were just talking about. So I'd say that a good design is fine. Good content is always going to be more important than good design. So I'll get Mel to jump in on this one in a second as well. But you probably have a limited budget to get a website done. We all do have a limit, obviously. So I just would say don't splash it all on the design element, because it's pretty easy to get a nice, clean, modern-looking website done that doesn't cost too much. So obviously, this is a very subjective topic, a huge topic, but I would say get a nice looking website for, it's not that much these days, modern, get it clean looking, functional, and if you have that extra money, put it into marketing and put it into content. So Mel, do you have anything to add there?
Uh, I absolutely agree with you, Anthea. That's so important. Just get that nice looking, clean, simple website. It's your calling card, it's your dance card, and I'm showing my age now, but that's where you want to be able to direct people. If it's nice, it's simple, it's clean, as Anthea said, you could actually then go and run a Facebook ad for $5, $10, a day, to drive traffic to that website so that you can capture people's email details and get them on the list and start talking to them. So I know a lot of us as bookkeepers, we get stuck around the logos and the colours and the design. So I'd really encourage you to just take yourself out of that space. What you need to focus on is growing your business, getting the leads, get a really nice simple website in place. Once you've actually got those leads going and you think, you know what, my customers might need something else here, I'm going to step it up a notch. I might put a different landing page in and you can tweak it. But getting that minimum viable product in at entry level, which is not going to cost you a bomb. It's going to be, a nice, simple entry level thing. It's going to do wonders for your business. So, and that way you've got a nice place to send people through to. I get a bit on my high horse about that one, Anthea, because I'm a bit like that. I focus on the details and I have to go, oh my God, Mel, just stop it. You're wasting time. Get back to getting new clients and servicing them and talking to them. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's so easy to do, isn't it? Obviously, we want perfection and spend so much time on this thing, but yeah, we just say try and keep it simple again, and it's not that hard, not that expensive to get a good-looking website, and then you can focus on getting more clients and putting your time and your money into marketing. So just wanted to touch on as well mobile friendliness. So we would say it is an absolute essential. So that's because since April 2015, I believe it was, Google doesn't rank websites that are not mobile friendly in their mobile search listings. So just to reiterate that, if your website isn't mobile friendly and someone searches on their mobile for you, you won't appear in Google at all. And that's really bad because over 50% of searches in Google now are from mobile. So obviously some people have their primary internet device as their phone. Some people do all their business from their phone nowadays, which is a bit crazy. So you definitely need to have a mobile-friendly website. So there is a way to test that as well. You can just search Google mobile-friendly test, or if you get a BizInc website audit, which is completely free, and I've put the link in the chat for you, and I can send that afterwards in the email. We check it out for you. So just grab a BizInc website audit and we'll give you some feedback, and this is one of them. We'll check if your site's mobile friendly or not. But if you do fail that test, please go and get a mobile-friendly website, because you're potentially missing out on quite a lot of traffic, and that's potential clients, as we've touched on there already. And the best way to do this is through responsive design, which is a bit of a technical term for a way of building a website that adapts to different screen sizes, whether it's a computer or an iPad or whatnot. And that's pretty standard nowadays. It's been standard for a little while, and if your web developer was trying to charge you extra for that, definitely look elsewhere, because it should be standard nowadays. If you don't have a mobile-friendly website, it's much easier to get a completely new design rather than trying to retrofit mobile friendliness onto an existing design or existing site. So probably just get a new design there as if you don't have a mobile friendly site, because it's definitely an essential.
Absolutely.
Another thing I wanted to touch on. Yeah, awesome. Another thing I wanted to touch on was security. So I'll just keep this fairly simple, because it can get fairly technical, obviously. So it's another change from Google. They've made it pretty much a requirement now to have what's called a secure certificate on your website. So the technical term being SSL certificate. So that's when you view a website, there's that little padlock. I'll show you an example just now. So these are some of the error messages, well, not really error messages, but what displays on your screen. So you can get around it if you know how, but obviously that's not a good look if you have that instead of a home page coming up, those errors. So what you need, having a secure certificate means the traffic between you and the website is encrypted, which is a good thing. And so Google will show insecure, or they'll have the cross there, your connection is not private, next to your web address if you don't have a secure certificate on both the front and the back of your website. So basically what this means for you is you really need to get one. Otherwise it's a really bad look and people will leave your site, they can't view it. So we have this as standard on all of BizInc sites, because obviously it's basically a requirement from Google now, but also we're working with accountants and bookkeepers, and it's so important to build that trust and credibility. If you've got insecure on your site and you're dealing with people's personal finances, it's not a really good look. So basically Google's trying to make things more secure. The actual security risk is probably fairly low of your details being hacked because you don't have one of these, but definitely get that sorted. It's not that expensive, and we can do it as standard as part of the websites as well. So reporting and testing, the web obviously gives us an insane amount of data out there to see how our marketing is performing, and using that data we can refine and improve our marketing. So there's a free tool called Google Analytics for your website. So you probably have this already linked already to your site, but if not, talk to your web company or talk to us afterwards. You can set up a free account pretty quickly, pretty easily, and then you plug in some code onto your website, and then you get really rich and insightful data about your website and how it's performing, who's viewing your site, what pages they're viewing. There's all kinds of information in there. Probably too much, to be honest, but there's so much information you can use there. So obviously that gives you the opportunity to report and test. You can try 2 versions of a page and see which is working better. This is such a huge topic, and there's so much you can do out there with all the tools on the web. But Google Analytics, I would say, is probably the basic minimum, but it's actually itself is hugely powerful. So we can help you with that if you need as well. And the final thing I wanted to touch on was tools and extras. So these are those little apps and add-ons that can take your website to the next level. So the first one I wanted to mention for you guys is appointment booking apps. So you probably have used these yourself. Some examples, Acuity and Calendly and Timely are pretty common examples you've probably used. So if you go to bizinconline.com, go to our website, you click book a demo, you'll see it pops up an app in a window where you can choose times to talk to someone in our team. And that was a really a really great thing to add to our site actually, because when we put it on there, it's back to that call to action again as well. The amount of demos we got booked went up by a third. So just because we made it easier, as I mentioned before, for interested people to get in touch with us. I also think it's really great because the first interaction with us, it looks really professional, and that's another thing with a bookkeeping website you're going to want as well. So I'll send some links in the follow-up email for you, because you should really check them out. I think they can have some great benefits there. And also another thing we found was that we saved about 10 minutes of admin time per booking, because it cuts out that emailing back and forth. Oh, are you free Wednesday? No, I can't do that. That bit of painful interaction there. It's super sleek, professional, and there's none of that annoying emailing back and forth as well. And Calendly is free, so that's a really great price point, obviously, and it's super easy to embed into your site as well. So I would recommend having a look at them as one of your calls to action on your site. Another a little tool you could use is live chat, which might not be for everyone, but I have seen it work well, and that's obviously the purpose of this webinar, to show you what great bookkeeping websites have. So it can work. Usually you see that in maybe the bottom right hand side of a website you go to, a little chat box will pop up usually. It's kind of like an instant messenger is how it works, a little chat. Obviously we do hear some reservations about this, because people they're worried about manning it all the time basically. And if you're at your desk anyway for the majority of the day and it's sitting there open, it's probably not going to be a problem to respond, to be honest. But it's not like you're going to suddenly get heaps coming through either. It really shouldn't be unmanageable for you. But again, it's allowing people to get in touch with you in the way that they prefer. So if you're a bigger firm as well and you have a receptionist answering phone calls and emails already, this is just another option for another method of communication for interested people to get in touch with you. So there's some options would be Zendesk Chat, OLAC, or Visita, and I can include those links as well in the follow-up, so look out for them as options as well. So I just wanted, you go, Mel.
Yeah, just wanted to add a couple of experiences there around chats. So I used Facebook Messenger actually a lot when I was building my practice. That was back in 2012, so it was quite a new thing, and my niche was hospitality clients. So I found that particular set of people were very active on Facebook and Instagram as well. So it was a way to actually capture people, and I had my team, we would actually take shifts managing the messaging, and I actually generated quite a lot of business and worked through that, because people would get onto us straight away. We would respond and would say, hey, cool, we can book you in for a discovery call. Boom, we've got them booked in. Usually that call would have been with me to say, how can we actually help you, what your problems are. And that was one way that we grew business very, very quickly. So if you think a little bit outside the box, and if you know what your niche is, then going really narrow with a chat can work like that. And that's obviously, a few years ago. Obviously you've got automated chat things, but just an idea that you can think about. And obviously always the call to action is going to be, hey, pop on over to our website, sign up for our newsletter, and get them in the database, and off you go. Over to you, Anthea.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's again, that I like that point you make about knowing your target client there, because you knew obviously where your clients were hanging out, and you went there and offered that another way for them to get in touch with you. And obviously you reaped the reward there with increased bookings or people coming to your newsletter and whatnot. So that's a cool little extra that you can add as well. So some great options there, and we'll include those links as well in the follow-up. But that's pretty much the content for today. I'll just sum up really quickly before we do some questions. So pop them into the questions or the chat window, and we'll get to them soon. But I just wanted to quickly talk about what we've gone over today. We would view the essentials, the absolute necessary things that you have, those key ingredients, as having a mobile-friendly site and having that secure certificate, because Google has pretty much made these a requirement now anyway, so you're going to want to comply. And obviously, it's going to be a good thing in the end because they're increasing security and they're making sites easier to use. So these are absolute essentials there. Also, design. Don't spend all your budget on design. Content and marketing in particular, especially like a lead magnet, it is more important than design. And obviously, we're not saying have a bad design, but a good design is not that expensive. Don't spend too much time or too much money there. Less is more. That was hopefully you got that as one of the themes throughout this little workshop today, because it's good to keep things short and simple. You're going to sell through conversations and chatting to people, meetings, so don't look at your website like an e-commerce site. People aren't going to make impulse purchases there. Build that trust, build credibility, and then let them get in touch with you. Make it stupidly easy for people to get in touch. This is that calls to action again. So have a phone number on every page, have a contact button, a booking app, live chat, everything you can do to make it easy for them. Lead magnets help turn visitors into clients. As I mentioned, very few people will actually get in touch with you, so it's just the nature of bookkeeping, and it's not because you're a bad bookkeeper or because your firm's bad. It's just the nature of it. People take time, they procrastinate. So get their details, keep talking to them, follow them up, stay top of mind when they're ready to purchase. Test and refine using the ton of marketing reporting and opportunities that are out there. Use that data to keep improving your site and testing. And the apps, there's some apps that can help add value for you. We just mentioned live chat and appointment booking apps that they're not essentials, but they have some great benefits as well. So you might want to look into them, and I'll send you some links there afterwards. So that's about all. We'll wrap up now and answer some of your questions. If you'd like more information about BizInc, go to our website, bizinconline.com, and if you're interested in any of our websites, you can book a demo there using our appointment booking app, which you'll see. You'll get to see how that works if you haven't already. So we do have websites specifically for bookkeepers, and we can help you out there with all the tools we've mentioned today, mobile friendliness and secure certificates and all that technical side we've got sorted as standard in our packages. So check us out at bizinconline.com, and I'll let Mel talk a little bit more about the revolutionary firm, and then we'll get into questions.
Cool. Thanks so much, Anthony. You've shared a lot of great information today. We really appreciate BizInc's support in the Revolutionary Firm community. So if you're not a member of our online community, you can pop along to Bookkeeper Revolution, and we're going to send out information with those links in the survey after the webinar today. So we'd love to have you in the community. If you also want to find out a little bit more about the Revolutionary Firm and what we do, we have an amazing 12-month program that's designed specifically to help you grow and have a firm that you love, that you want to be in, and that you actually love working with your clients within that space. So pop along to that website to have a look. Also jump on, we've got some great podcasts on there as well with some really great industry leaders sharing their journey as well. So enough from me, but over to questions. We've got quite a few to get through. So
yeah,
don't panic. We are going to record this webinar. So if you're got a deadline right on 10 and you need to go, then that's fine. We will record these Q&A and we'll be able to get that out to you as well.
Definitely, and if we've got any more information, I can send it in the email afterwards. I can see that some people haven't been able to download the handouts for some reason, so I'm sorry about that. Gotta love technology, but that'll be included afterwards in the email, so I can email you that as well, and we'll get into some of the questions as well. I just saw one about, let's find it now. traffic going to the homepage, basically. Back to when I was talking about not all of the traffic goes to the BizInc homepage. So what's driving it to the other pages? And obviously there can be a whole host of things. It could be social media. You can have landing pages for various, maybe you have an event coming on. You can do what's called a landing page, and usually they don't have as much information on those pages, just specifically trying to get those people to, for example, sign up to an event or something. So social media could be driving traffic to a specific page, maybe to sign up for a webinar or something like that. There's quite a whole host of different things that could drive traffic to other pages. So it's definitely important to consider all of them there.
I'll just add another little bit to that as well. Hi, Russell. Great to see you on the webinar too, actually. It's great to have you here. So a really perfect example of that is if you are running a sponsored Facebook ad that says, you know, a nice little script that says, are you a small business owner? Are you struggling with cash flow? Then we can help you. So click on this link to download our top 25 tips on how you can get on top of that cash flow problem. Now, the link that you have in that social media ad could send straight through to a specific, what we would call landing page that is on your domain. So it's another page within your website outside of the home page that's dedicated totally to that topic around how can we help you solve your cash flow problems. So that's a really good example of how you can drive traffic. So you could have that running on Facebook, you could be putting it out on Twitter, you could be writing link content and blogs on LinkedIn that's going to be driving people to that landing page. You could be tweeting it. You could have it on the back of a business card that you might hand out at a network meeting. So I hope that sort of gives a real life example of how you can drive traffic in that way.
Yeah, that's a great example. So I've got a question here probably for you, Mel. Do you recommend putting prices on your webpage or not? There's differing opinions out there. So thanks for that question, Stephanie. Do you have any input on that, Mel?
That's a one-word answer, and that's just no, don't do it. Now, I'm actually going to put in the show notes, or show notes, webinar notes. I've been podcasting this week. So a link to our value pricing webinar, which if you're already in our bookkeeping community, Bookkeeper Revolution community, you'll see we've done a webinar on that last week. But the simple answer is no. So when you're looking at pricing, you should always be pricing the customer, not the service. So you want to be able to get that customer to come in. You want them to book a phone call, a meeting with you, so that you can actually find out what their problems are first, and then actually do a proposal and an individual presentation to that client. Not only is it better for us as the business owner, but what a nice experience for the customer to get a concierge service. So for a lot of us that are providing these boutique style bookkeeping businesses, we're doing it because we love it. If we want to go and run a massive, massive business like, you know, H&R Block that's got franchises all around the country, well, you can kind of do that fixed price cookie cutter style service delivery because you can do it at scale. But for those of us that are running the boutique firms, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work in that business model. So don't put the prices on the website, price the customer. Pop into the Bookkeeper Revolution community, which we'll send the details out after this webinar, and you'll find a lot of content in there and webinars from myself and Steve on that topic. And I'll be quiet now, Anthea, because that's one of my pet topics now.
I was so glad to have you on to answer that. I got another question here about calls to action and how many you should have per page. So it's probably not an exact number there, but I'd probably just recommend having multiple ways, you know, 3 or 4. I had on that Sea Change example, they had the phone numbers and emails and a contact form. So just have a couple of options there, and definitely have your contact details on every page. So you don't want, even if it's just down the bottom, your email, your phone number or something, but try and make it as clear as possible for interested people to get in touch and have multiple options there. So good question there, Shelley, thank you. Another question. Do you have any there, Mel?
Yes. Okay, we've got Catherine. Catherine's asked, how do you get the first client? That's a really, really great question, Catherine. So I think there's a lot of different ways to get your first client. I think that there's a couple of basic things that you need to do to get your business set up. So obviously having a website that you can send people to is a must. And I still believe in old-fashioned business cards. It's nice for people to have something to hang on to when you meet them in person. I think there's been a real shift a little bit back to the traditional way of doing business from technology because it's all about building relationship. I would also recommend that you look at setting up a Facebook page for your business as well, and all of those different tools that you might have are going to lead people back to your website. So, but definitely get out in your local area and attend some network meetings as well. Again, in the Bookkeeper Revolution community, Catherine, we've got quite a lot of content and other people that are talking around that topic. So I'm happy to actually engage with you in the community and step you through a few more things there. Anthea, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think you've covered it pretty well. I would probably just say let your friends and your family, business owners know that you're open for business and get them talking, because often you kind of, maybe you think they'll just know, or you forget to actually mention it so much. So get talking to people you know and see if they know anyone that needs a bookkeeper, needs some help there. So just get that conversation started. But yeah, you had some great tips there, Mel. Thanks.
Cool.
So, yeah, we have some more. When will the info be sent out? Hopefully in the next couple of days, so I'll get the recording finalised and uploaded, and hopefully next 48 hours you'll hear from us with the handouts and the recording.
It's actually Sarah's left me a message. Sarah, the community page on your website has an error. Yes, it does, because guess what? Bizing redesigning my website for me because I'm crap at it. Like I said before. So it's actually a different community that we've got running, Sarah. It's actually on a different platform. So I'm going to pop the link now into the chat box for everyone to see. And you can just jump in there and join in straight away. We'll send that out. So thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. You're gorgeous.
Awesome. I've had a couple of people kind of ask about this. When you're the only person, how do you build an about or a team page? What's the best way to do that when a lot of you are probably just the one person there? So you can probably combine the about and the team page into one page in that instance. Completely up to you, obviously. You want to convey your personality still, so I'd definitely include a photo of yourself and some information, some background, and go back to how you can help them and your experience there. So there still is definitely options there, and a photo, a cool looking photo, professional looking photo can be a great way still, even if you don't have a huge team per se. So that can definitely still work. I also have some people asking about the Google Map. If you kind of are a virtual business, do you have to have one? Somebody said before that they're not really looking for clients in the local area. So please, you don't have to, obviously, if you're not looking for a different business model working virtually. It can be a great way to appeal to people locally, though, and can be a great way for people to find you. So it depends obviously on how you're doing business. We would recommend it though, if unless you're operating a completely virtual business and don't want people from the local area. So it's super easy to do and can help your ranking as well. So good option to have there. I think. Any other questions?
Just a couple of comments around the handout not being able to be downloaded. Please don't panic. We will email all of this information out to you. So we've got your details from registration, so we'll get that out to you very shortly.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so sorry for technology issues there. Yeah, definitely be included in the follow-up email. So you got any more questions, Mel, or is that pretty much it for today?
I think that's it. If we didn't get to yours, don't worry. We will get back to you. There's a few that I'll come back to you via email. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to come and join the Bookkeeper Revolution community. I want to see you online, want to hear about your stories, want to hear about your business. It's a global community. We're off to connect 100,000 accounting and bookkeeping professionals into our community by 2020, and it's free. And we're about to launch a new workflow library, which is even cooler. So see you there. Thank you, Busy. You guys are amazing, and I can't wait for my website to go live. I'm so excited, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining today. Yeah, listen out for the emails for us with all the more information. And if we didn't get to your question, feel free to send us an email and visit our site. And we look forward to seeing you in our communities.